The Young Wallander is a series based on Henning Mankell's novels and is a prequel to the original show that is focused on the beloved Swedish detective during his early 20s. The Netflix show has finished its second season, and fans are hopeful to see more from the detective Kurt Wallander.
Why didn't you tell me the truth?
I was going to, and I wanted to keep you out of it. I wanted to protect you.
I've been doing just fine on my own.
So stay with us until the next couple of minutes and find out all the details about the possible upcoming third season of the show. Now let's jump to the recap of the previous two seasons. The series premiered on Netflix on September 3, 2020. It's maybe not the best show on Netflix, but it has a solid 6.8 rating on IMDb and thousands of positive reviews and comments by the viewers. After 6 episodes in the first season, the show was renewed for another 6 in the second season. Young Wallander has rebooted Henning Mankell's detective series as a rookie detective in modern Sweden. However, it never got on par with the original Swedish series, not even with the BBC version, with Kenneth Branagh in the leading role. The action in Mankell's novels was taking place in the 1970s, but instead, Netflix chose to place the rebooted TV series in contemporary Sweden, and that's what made so many reviewers be less than kind. Also, the showrunner Ben Harris has moved the action from the tiny town of Gestad, where Mankell based his character, to present-day Malmö. Many of us didn't know who Kurt Wallander was until 2008 when the BBC brought the brilliant detective to the small screen. As we said, it was Kenneth Branagh who revived the title role. The show was sold around the world and introduced a new generation of viewers to the character. The 2008 series was a critical and commercial success, and it spread interest in Mankell's novels worldwide. In 2019, Netflix announced that they'll renew the detective for a new prequel. The famous detective Kurt Wallander was a recently graduated police officer in his early 20s in the first season.
There's a law against stalking. I know a policeman.
You know what really sucks? That I had to meet you now.
Adam Pålsson took the role of the young Kurt, and he was the only Swede in the cast that also included Richard Delan, Leanne Best, Elise Chappell, and Yasin Natur. As we said before, the show didn't go so well with the critics, but it was enough of a hit for the worldwide audience, and that's why Netflix decided to renew it for a second season. Pålsson, Best, Chappell, and Natur were all back to reprise their roles, and Tomiwa Eden joined the cast. Now let's recall what was happening in the previous 2 seasons when we left Kurt at the end of season 1. He turned his back on the police force after the tragic death of his boss and mentor, Superintendent Joseph Hemberg. With his and the help of Detective Frida Rask, Kurt was working to uncover a tangled conspiracy that began with the murder of the teenager Hugo Lundgren. In this mission, Wallander was beaten up and stabbed, and he was nearly blown by an explosion that killed his mentor. The disappointment from these events became even bigger when the man he believed was responsible for the death of both Hemberg and Lundgren managed to escape justice. In season 2, Rask informs Wallander that she never submitted his resignation letter. She believed in Kurt's ability and wanted him to smash that like button just like you should do. But no, she wanted him to join back the police, and Detective Wallander decides to rejoin the police forces with another case knock on the door to be solved. At first sight, it looks like a hit-and-run case, but it will bring back the past and its mistakes that are far from pleasant. The fans of the show will have to wait for a little while, as Netflix hasn't renewed the series for a third season yet. Sadly, the predictions for the potential renewal are unlikely, but the studio will follow the performances of the second season in the next months, and as with many other renewals, the young Wallander will have to wait for either green or red light. We know that Netflix measures the performance of its shows using many metrics, and one of them follows the number of people that will start watching the show.
We should have been the ones to have had our identities protected, not those monsters.
Are we saying that the killer was someone Elias knew?
The murder is...
And also, how many of these people will watch until the end? We know that the second season was released in February this year, so it's maybe a little too early for conclusions now, and we'll have a better picture of Netflix plans for the show in September. The second season wasn't as successful as the first one. It only managed to perform well in some key Nordic regions such as Sweden, Denmark, and Norway, and it didn't go well in Central European countries. To prove that we're wrong, you can hit that ring bell button right now. Here you go. And if season 3 happens, then it's almost certain that cast members will come to reprise their roles. There's always a possibility that we'll see some new names, but nothing is official by now. One thing is sure, the series just can't continue with Adam Pålsson as young detective Kurt Wallander, Leanne Best as Frida Rask, Elise Chappell as Mona, and Yasin Natur as Reza Al Rahman. Some leaks even say that the potential third season will have to wait until the fall of 2024 or even later.
I understand, I really do. Are you sure, P? You see this place?
Many of the fans were confused about the choice of the actors. Since the series is set in Sweden, viewers were asking why most of the actors, except the lead, were English and not Swedish. It's the second most criticized thing besides the show being set in modern Sweden and not in the 1970s. Some of the comments are kind of weird. A Swedish actor speaking English in a Swedish accent, surrounded by British actors speaking in an English accent, filmed in Lithuania, and pretending to be Malmö in Sweden. Wrap your head around that. One other added, is anyone in Young Wallander Swedish? What happened to representation and all that? Of course, this is the opinion of some of the viewers. Most of them think that the show was brilliant and it deserves season 3 immediately. Now let's see what could happen in the potential third season of the show. It could expand and try to connect to the original story. We could see a further exploration of the relationship between Kurt and Mona. We know that they'll split up later, but the potential third season could open more possibilities. Also, we could see Frida Rusk and Ossie try to revisit their old romantic tasks, and that's one thing that was suggested at the end of season 2.
You doing okay?
No, I knew I was police. Until today.
Kurt and Ossie are smashing that subscribe button and hit the notification bell. No, really, in all seriousness, they expected to work on their disagreements, and Ossie might loosen up a bit. And what about Kurt and Reza's friendship? We saw that Reza expressed anger towards Kurt on some occasions, but that was because of his low self-esteem. We didn't see an explanation about Reza's panic attacks at the end of season 2, even though the season solved the problem. Many possibilities can be explored if the show continues for another season. We're sure that it can gain back the popularity from the first season. Writers can always spin some new mysteries and revive the show. Our verdict for the show so far is that it's more than interesting. With only 12 episodes so far, the young Wallander managed to motor through more stories and plot lines than some shows can do in 30. The relentless pace gave us a thrilling drive in every episode. The leading role played by Pålsson is too emotional, too trusting, and far too naive. But he becomes a true superhero for many viewers. He's searching for justice and he'll do anything for this. We just hope that this won't be the last thing we saw from him and we continue watching him chasing bad guys. What do you think about these young Wallander scenarios? See you in the next video.